at the moment it's not really a good subject. Manchester's got a graffiti scene, but it's very divided, it's split up. There's people who are not getting on with other people, and I think the less said about the subject the better. But everyone in Manchester knows who the king is. I think graffiti in Britain, like everything in Britain that's of an alternative nature, will be oppressed and dragged right down to the ground. They want to see people who have started at the bottom, work their way up through life and become a great role model rather than a fictitious role model. And that's what graffiti does. It can give young kids from places that have no money or no prospects a kind of dream that being creative and through graffiti can get you somewhere. During the 80s, I think many times I used to be upstairs on the buses and write my names on the windows, the seats and everything, and there was on a few occasions where I was caught by the driver. He'd come upstairs, tell me I was about to get arrested, and then phone the police and wouldn't let me off the bus. So on many occasions I had to jump out the back window at the top, while the bus had either driven to the police station or was driving, so I couldn't get off. So yeah, many times I had to jump out the top at the back, avoiding cars what were travelling behind the bus, so I didn't get run over. And one of the worst situations I think I had was in St. Louis in Missouri in 1997 when I was painting freight trains in the day. I was caught by a kind of redneck guy in a Chevrolet truck who then proceeded to chase me for 1.5 miles at high speed down from the freight yard down in towards the ghettos of Missouri. And we knew apparently this kid from New York called Hens was, and I think the guy had like a gun in his hand while he was driving. So we had to get off, and then I eventually had to jump out the car and go over to the Chevrolet and say to the guy who I was, where I was from, and told him I was a student and said that I wanted to paint one, and then he just let me go. If I'd have kept on being chased by him, then I would have ended up in the ghettos of St. Louis where there's loads of police, and then I would have been deported or thrown in jail. So I think I made the right move, but a scary move when someone's got a gun. As a graffiti artist of 16 years, I've never been caught. It's just a unique art form. No one ever taught anybody to do graffiti. Some of the best artists in the world today are artists who use spray paint, graffiti artists. So I think, if anything, the art world has been taught a lot about creative expression rather than being educated to do art. Graffiti will always just be a reaction against a kind of fascist corporate world that we live in.